Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 61 of the Noclip podcast. We are back from the desert. Jeremy, we are here with Jeremy and Jesse and Frank. Happy International Women's Day, everyone, from the four of us. Shout out to all of the women in our lives who have helped us get here. Our moms, our other moms for some of us. Who else we got? Frank's mom. Shout out to Frank's mom from all of us. Mm-hmm. Yes. Anyone else we got? Megan Carnes for doing all of our captions forever. Yes. And then getting too good at making music and then, doing some music for us, but she's just working on 1,001 different secret projects these days. Who else we got? Any other shout out? Any women shout outs? Jesse, you got someone?
Cassie, shout outs. Way to be a good girlfriend for 9 years and sticking with me. She's the best.
Damn, son. Put a ring on it. Come on. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm lazy. And money is a thing.
Onion ring, like Homer Simpson style.
I'll get her the lollipop ring, whatever those are called.
Right, yeah, ring pop. Is that ring?
Yeah, ring pop. Yeah,
that's what they have a bigger jewel on them than a normal ring.
You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're kind of dangerous.
There's no dead Africans involved in the ring pop too, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You can never
good
tell,
point,
man.
actually. Yeah.
I've never been to the ring pop factory, so I cannot confirm or deny.
I don't know where they get those from. You can't play sports with those things on. Surely that's take someone's eye out.
You probably can't go in anywhere that's over like 40% humidity, or it just melts on your finger.
Yeah, it's true. What a shame. It's a good thing they're cheap. Jeremy, any women in your life you want to give a shout out to?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my mom because she is cool as fuck, and she also, because I have been talking about it so much, has been playing a little bit of Disco Elysium.
Oh my god!
This is a woman who has her video game experience is limited to a little bit of like Donkey Kong and Super Mario back in the Super Nintendo days, and she does some puzzle rooms on her phone, but she's a voracious reader. And I made the claim that Disco Elysium was one of the greatest pieces of literature of the last decade.
Ooh.
And she was like, oh, well, that's odd. And I was kind of talking to her about how I think it's interesting that as people are less and less likely to read, I think that it'll be interesting to see as more and more talented writers kind of veer into the into the world of video games. And I mean, Disco Elysium is it's like 6 different versions of the same book depending on how you play it. So, but she's been liking it. I had to give her a little help because she's never played a CRPG, and like there's a lot of new things to learn. Even if you have played things like Baldur's Gate, and if you haven't, then it's like learning 6 different things at once.
Yeah, that's quite a hefty jump from Cranky Kong to like communism simulator, or whatever. Are people reading less? Is that a thing? I didn't know that was a thing.
I assume only because of I like to read occasionally, but I assume only because I can feel my own attention span being hijacked and disassembled and stripped for export by the inundation of media in every facet of our lives.
I would assume we're reading more, if anything, but it's just more garbage. Like we're just reading a lot of stuff on our phones. That's not.
That's a good point.
IKEA directions.
I guess like reading fewer pieces of literature, I guess, is the more specific or more accurate thing.
What are you saying? That thread about the UX problems in Elden Ring that I read for 2 hours last night? That's wasn't literature. Man. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Is
are my comic books literature?
Depends. It depends if they're good.
Ooh. Wait, if something's good, it's literature? That's a slippery slope, sir.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's subjective, but Mouse is a graphic novel, comes out of the like comics with an X scene, and that's literature for sure.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. What about hentai? Hentai stories.
It depends. Yeah, it depends how good the story is in the 1990s HBO softcore pornography.
Very descriptive tentacles. Frank, we already gave a shout out to your mom for some reason. What other women in your life would you like to
Yeah, I think I mentioned Audrey every podcast because I consume a lot of my media with Audrey. But yeah, I love Audrey. We're planning even more anime conventions this year, and it's always a very fun adventure. So yeah, I love Audrey, and she's on art for Noclip, and she's usually on a Discord call with me when I am doing gameplay capture or logging gameplay notes. So yeah, she's the best.
Yeah, she's our spirit animal of Noclip, always there somewhere. I also like the idea of the healthiness of our relationship being metered in the amount of anime cons you've gone to together.
Oh yeah.
In that respect, me and my wife must be on the rocks because we've never done it. Yeah, shout out to my wife and daughter. My kid sat down when I was playing video games a few days ago, and she was like, I want to play Aloy, because she likes to watch Forbidden West because she likes the dinosaur robots, but I was like, no, sorry, I'm playing Elden Ring, so you can either watch this or walk away if it's too scary. And we were in, I would say, one of the scarier parts of the game. It was some sort of cave with ants in it, and yeah, she was kind of game for a while until like the ants started to care about me, and then we walked into one room and it was just full of these guys who everyone in the room all slowly walked towards me at the same time, like very ominously. And then a bunch of them did the whole, I don't know, there seems to just be like a canned animation that like the goats have it in Elden Ring, and like also the like half the dudes do, where they just start like cartwheeling or rolling towards you. You've seen this?
Yes.
It's like, it's fairly commonplace. And they started doing that and she freaked out. So, later at dinner, I was sitting down with her and my wife, and she said, I don't want to play Elden Ring anymore. It's too scary. And my wife looked at me like, what the fuck have you been doing? I swear to God, last night was a real roll of the dice. I was like, if she has a nightmare tonight, because she never has nightmares. It's like, if she has a nightmare tonight, I'm in trouble. But we got through it. So we'll see if she watches some more Elden Ring with me.
Nice.
Later on, yeah. All that sort of stuff. Has anyone playing anything that's not Elden Ring?
I have.
What have you been playing?
Frank, you want to go first?
Yeah, I have been addicted to Gran Turismo 7.
Man, you got through the intro?
Yeah. Oh, that's like it's like a Ken Burns film. I adore it. There's so much history in this game. There's a World History Museum. There's 3 different entries about the Titanic. One in 1912 when the Titanic sank. In like the 70s when they uncover. No, I think it's like 91 when they uncover the location of the Titanic, and then like 97 when Celine Dion wins a Grammy for the Titanic theme song.
What?
What
the fuck has that got to do with
This is a racing game, right?
So this is how the deeper you get into Gran Turismo. So like you eventually the theme of the game of Gran Turismo is like it's the love and history of cars. They really love cars. And every time you get a car, there's like this NPC that was like, so Frank, let me tell you about the history of the Nissan. And it's the 1917, the hatchback.
Hey, wait a second. You're implying that this NPC is talking to you with a voice.
No, yeah, there is no voiceover. That's just the voice I give it as my interior monologue.
So is Gran Turismo 9 literature? Because there's a lot of fucking reading in this.
It feels like playing a JRPG. There's so much text, but the history comes up because there's I think they call it Brand Central. Which I love. Brand Central. It's the
Brand Central Station.
It's the in-game shopping mall where you go to buy different cars, and with each dealership they have the Toyota museum, but they contextualize like the year. So I think it's like, I don't know, 1890, like Father Toyota is born, but then also in 1890, the U.S. was recovering from the Civil War. But I find it way more fun to ignore the car history and just see what are the history facts they've included. So every single Windows releases has a great announcement. Like Bill Gates founds Windows. Windows 95 is released. Windows 98, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows XP. They also have like Steve Jobs creates Apple. They also say like 1995 or 4, the PlayStation comes out. 2000, the PS2 comes out. The PS3, the PSP. They completely ignore Nintendo, so it's a very Sony and Sony bias look at world history. The COVID vaccine is a history entry in this.
Oh my god!
It's like pretty cool, and I wish more games had this. So I do like the World History Museum. The game itself, though, I love. So Gran Turismo 7, I've never been super into it. I think I tried Gran Turismo 3 when I was a kid, but I was like, oh, this feels like homework. I don't like this. I much preferred Mario Kart. But now, 25 years later, 20 years later, I'm finding this game great because everything else I'm playing right now is a big open world, and that stuff is fun, but it's really nice at the end of the night just to have something focused that's like, okay, I'm going to take this car, race it on this track, get these credits, and I'm done. And so it's very relaxing to play.
You're buying a lot of cars. Have you hunted down some cars you liked and bought them?
Yeah, so I think I got the initial D car. I do need to save up,
nice.
and I need to get the Fast and Furious car. I was very sad my Kia Soul is not in this game. I really wanted to race it. So now, like, as I'm playing this game, I'm asking all my friends, like, what car do you drive? Like, I feel like I'm getting jealous if my friends' cars are in this game.
Yeah, my Mustang and, well, it's gone now, but and the Wrangler are both in Horizon. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's cool. I think eventually you can unlock the option to decorate the car. So I can't wait to put like stupid Spawn stickers all over these really nice cars. I did one online race, but before you get into the race, they have you sit down and do like driver's ed of like online racing game etiquette, which I had never heard of before. You get penalized if you like bump into cars, if you like change lanes like too fast, or like there's all these things that they really want you to race clean. So I tried it out, and it's a different way of playing. I don't know if I'll go back to it, but people who take those games really seriously. But it's kind of fun throwing on like a different cap and entering that world.
Wow. Any other love for Gran Turismo here? Like even past games? Either of you guys have any experience with them?
I've played one in the past a little bit. I think I had like the PS2 greatest hits, like red box version of maybe 3 or something, but didn't play a ton of it. I'm not a big racing game guy.
No, yeah, same. I think it was probably the exact same copy. Like, I swear it was my copy, and then we shipped it to you, and you used it.
Jesse and I shared a copy of Gran
everything,
Turismo.
apparently. Yeah, checking the box. I might have my signature. Yeah, same thing. I just put it in there, and I was like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I didn't give a shit about racing games until Forza Horizon 5, I think. I think that was the first one that I actually bothered playing.
That's funny. Yeah. Driving games, racing games, simulations. It's weird how, like, I don't think I was into racing games all that much when GT was in its like heyday on, like, Gran Turismo 2 and 3 are like all-time classics. I mean, the first one as well, but and those games looked incredible on the hardware they were running and all that sort of stuff. But obviously, like, these days I'm pretty deep in the simulation stuff with my race cockpit setup, and
oh really? Do you have like a Thrustmaster and stuff, like the pedals and everything?
Yeah, I've got a Thrustmaster, like F1 wheel and the pedals, and a next level driving seat thing, which they sent to us so we could do the back when we had the studio, we did an extra life where I did a full F1 season at, like, I feel like there were 25% race distances. It wasn't like 100, because that would have been 20 races that were 90 minutes long, but so I did it in that seat, which was great because there's like a permanent sweat patch on that seat now from that one day. But yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, I have always found these to be they're odd little eggs. They're just like, it's just a weird game. The menus have always perplexed me. I've always hated like the aesthetic of those games. It's all fucking pianos and like sophistication and like this sort of, like, it's clearly for some people, and I kind of love that I hate it because it's so weird. It's like there's definitely like a cultural sort of like difference in how people think about racing, maybe, because I've never seen it reflected in any like Western racing stuff, except like maybe old classic documentaries or something like that. But it's kind of like racing monoculture, because nobody's into racing. Like, very few people are into like all driving. It tends to be, you're into like, Le Mans stuff, or you're into drifting, or you're into Formula One, or you're into NASCAR or Indy, or you're into touring cars or DTM or whatever the hell it is, LMP. Like, it's weird to have this sort of like people who are into absolutely every facet of racing, and also stretching back to the days of the Titanic. So I've always found it really strange, the particular type of love that they do. But it's cool. I like, the whole ethos of GT has always been like unlocking, driving, setting good laps and unlocking cars and doing all that sort of stuff. But for whatever reason, the unskippable 6-minute intro cutscene of like you said, just Ken Burnsing footage and all their cars racing was just like, that was some real PlayStation 2 throwback bullshit. I was like, you please let me skip this for the love of all that is good. But yeah, I haven't played enough of it. I need to dive back in. Any particular, like, what are the modes you like? Because the only modes that I saw was like, there's the general sort of go through the world career thing where you unlock cars, and then you have this weird like fucking DJ hero mode where you have to like drive as faster than the beat of the song. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's called like, I think it's called music replay mode or music mode. But yeah, it's weird where there's a pulsing soundtrack on the beat, and every checkpoint is on the beat, and if you hit it, the length of the track extends. And the first track I did again was classical music. There is one song in this game that that Idris Elba has a verse on, which is yeah. Everyone needs to listen to the song. It's called Vroom Vroom, and it's like half like that Fast and Furious track. It's just yo vroom vroom, get in the car, vroom vroom, and then and like the Japanese rapper is singing about Gran Turismo, vroom vroom, and then Idris Elba comes out, and it's yo Idris Elba coming in, driving in hot.
I can't believe Knuckles the Echidna is in Gran Turismo 7.
It's a crazy track, vroom vroom. I think Danny hit it where it's like, it's such a weird way at looking at racing, and I've never been into like the Western view of racing much. I'm starting to appreciate it more, but I just never clicked with it. Whereas like the goofiness, like with Daytona USA and Sega stuff, gets me in, and Gran Turismo almost feels so dorky, and I love it. I think that's why it's hooking me. It's like it feels like I'm at the library looking at car textbooks, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get this. This is cool.
It's like trying to be the New York Times of racing games or something. It's like, it's so strange.
And I will say the license tests are surprisingly fun. It feels like trying to hit a goal in Tony Hawk, where you have a 20-second track to hit this corner, and you have to brake at the right time, and you're nudging closer and closer to getting a gold license. So like I've spent so many hours just trying to knock them, but it's having that hyper focus of like just trying to hit a rail in a skating game and just do this goal that I find really fun. It like a single license test in a Gran Turismo game is the exact same like Russian journey as a boss in a Soulsborne game, where you just grind this thing down for an hour. When you beat it, you feel so elated and like excited, and then you're ready for the next challenge.
Man, that would be a really good segue into Elden Ring, but I'm trying really hard not to go there. Let's go with the Japan stuff. I'm playing Ghostwire Tokyo. I can't say anything else than that. They basically gave us I think it's technically a preview, actually. It's the full thing, I think. But I think the embargo stuff, I forget it. I'll be able to talk about it next week at some stage. So on the podcast, I'll be able to chat about it, but I'm doing that. Maybe I should have gone with the driving segue. We drove a lot last week, myself and Jeremy. Obviously, last week's podcast, live from the Mojave Desert. Shout out to Jesse for getting rid of all the wind so that all of the, man, this wind is bad on the recording.
Everyone's like, what are you talking about?
He recorded that in his podcast room. I don't know what's wrong with it.
I was telling Danny when I was editing it, I was like, it really sounds like Jeremy's just sitting in a room. I don't know what I did. I just pressed some buttons, and that's what it sounds like. So yeah,
you could hear Elden Ring running in the background that whole time. Yeah. Although actually, given what we were doing there, I guess that could have also been the case. Jeremy, we have not caught up since you drove back. How was your 9-hour drive from the Mojave Desert to Northern California to Santa Rosa County?
It was good. It's a very long drive to do twice in 3 days.
Yeah.
Especially considering we did probably like a couple hours of driving on the middle day as well, and a ton. We filmed a ton of stuff out there, which is exciting. Everything we did is something that I'm really excited for people to see, especially the Elden Ring and the desert stuff. It got ridiculous out there, but the drive was fine. It's just you just pop on 9 podcasts and you're there. It ain't nothing.
Yeah, what did you listen to? Let's recommend some other podcasts.
It's funny. I actually so when I've been doing game dev recently, I've been listening to, there's a Twitch streamer named Germa985, and I find that I never click with Twitch streamers. Like I've never understood the enjoyment of listening to or watching someone play games on Twitch. It's never clicked with me. All my friends call me a boomer because I don't enjoy it. And I, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because he's from Boston too, like because I am. I don't know what it is, but there is something about putting on him playing like old DOS games in the background that is just like it is the perfect amount of white noise for me to do something else. games. And so I usually
Nice.
put it on when I'm doing game dev for like 8 hours. And I had a ripped stream of him playing MS-DOS games for 9 hours, and I just put it on and I just kind of like half paid attention to it. And it was I didn't have to pay attention to it. It was just the perfect amount of like distraction from every time I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so bored. My brain would be like, oh, what game is this? It was like having someone in the car playing old games with you, just like idly talking to you about it. So I listened to that for 9 hours.
Jeez, any good games? Do you remember any of them, or was it all just kind of white noise at this stage?
I told you about one of them. I think the highlight was Commander Bible.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Which is a point and click adventure game. You're like a high tech sort of like Captain America but for the Bible type character, and you are going into a high tech city that is veiled in a shroud of darkness, and within the shroud of darkness people cannot remember the teachings of the Bible. So you go into this city of sinful robots, literally robots, and every time as you're point and clicking around this adventure, he would like encounter a robot and they would say something like "God only loves some people," and then as you're going through the level, you're collecting Bible verses. So it's like a Metroidvania almost, but Bible verses are the powers. And so then as you'd run into a robot and then you'd pull up your Bible computer, which is like a little tablet with Bible verses you've collected, and you'd have to find the verse to refute their argument. So it's basically teaching kids how to be like the annoying kid who refutes everything anyone says by citing a Bible verse.
It's awesome. It's all when you said it to me in the desert, it sounded like it was insult sword fighting from Monkey Island, but with Bible verses, which kind of sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a great way to like teach theology to people.
Totally. And I don't want to spoil Commander Bible because I know there's a lot of people who've been waiting 30 years to play this game, just waiting for the right time. You know, life is very busy. But there is a Gundam. There's a Christian Gundam in it. And it turns out that after you clear the first area that there are people who are worshiping a false prophet, and you are trying to awaken them to their sinful ways so that you can get 6 of them to pilot like a Christian Megazord with you.
Wow.
Fuck.
Dude, the art in this game is like surprisingly good.
It's like that very crunchy kind of like DOS style pixel art, but it's got a little unspeakable something about it that appeals to me.
Wow. Captain Bible coming to a HD remake near you soon, hopefully. It's weird you're listening to Boston people. I was listening to Bill Burr's podcast. Just, he does his like solo podcast where he just talks at you. Like, that was kind of the level I was at. Because I was listening to like Arsenal podcasts and stuff like that. I couldn't listen to video game podcasts because it felt too much like work or something, because we were like going there to film video game stuff. But some of them were just like, you're right, it's like too much. I mean, sometimes I need, because 9 hours is a long time to like, you have to have like ebbs and flows, right? You need like high intensity moments and quiet moments. And if you just keep it at the same tenor, it goes forever. And I stopped off. I was getting sick of road food too. I was really struggling to get something that wasn't like just cheese and bread on a, what is that? Is that highway? Is that 5 or was that 101? Where were we on?
The 5 is the one that it's like the long highway that runs up and down the middle of California for people who have not driven the north-south stretch of California.
Right. It was nice to leave the Mojave in the day because I couldn't see most of that when I arrived.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful out there. It literally looks like it looks like the surface of the moon. I'm sure it's a little more yellow than the moon, but it's like just giant stark crags of like igneous rock and bizarre mounds of dirt. It looks like another planet. It's really cool out there.
And of course, Baghdad, California is there
out.
too. Unlike Mars, they have Baghdad.
Yeah, shout out to the Baghdad subway.
Yeah, really solid subway. Not a mask to be seen out there. Although right now it's kind of hard to tell because the numbers are so low again. You're like, that 7-day average is going to disappear in the next week or so. So should be feeling good about that, but it's hard. It's hard to trust it, isn't it? It's hard to like be, we're out of the woods. I'm just waiting for the friggin' Zelta fucking variant to turn up, and it's like one that you grow like a arm out of your arse or something. It's hard to like anticipate it. Even now, like the Noclip trailer, where the funding trailer that's going up tomorrow is like all about COVID stuff, and I'm like it's hard. Like it's like COVID's not gone, but it's certainly at a lower point. Like in the next couple of weeks, it's has been for like 6 months. But then is it going to be huge? You know, it's just, God, it's so hard to fucking... What's it like up in Canada, Jesse?
The trailer's going to jinx it. That's going to jinx it. As soon as that goes up, it's going to ruin it. But yeah, in Canada, it's a lot better. You know,
truckers have left?
Yeah, mostly. They're trying it again. They're trying to make it work in the capital. But it turns out you can only really do that one time. After that, we're kind of like, no, we put you in jail one time. We'll do it again. Yeah, I mean, in terms of COVID, though, the cases are fairly low all around. We're doing the no more mask thing probably in 2 weeks. We've had it be like a mandated provincial thing where businesses have to have them. We actually just went to the movies a little while ago, like last week. And
what you see?
There was the Batman.
The Batman.
No Parents Man.
No Parents Man would be a great name for it. No spoilers. How is the Batman?
Oh, 10 out of 10. No. 9 out of 10. I think it's I think it's as good, if not better, than The Dark Knight.
Okay.
It's killer. Like, cinematography wise, I think it's probably the prettiest looking superhero movie that we've seen since the start of the MCU, where everything's kind of just like flat and very like devoid of stark colors outside of maybe Guardians of the Galaxy. The Batman's like just this beautiful film, shot really well, directed by Matt Reeves, you know, from Cloverfield and the Planet of the Apes trilogy. So he really brought a lot of that artistry, I feel, to the Batman. I have to keep calling it the Batman for some stupid reason.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's a the there. Yeah, I mean, story-wise, it was great. I thought Paul Dano did a really good job as the Riddler. He was like scary without being ridiculous. He was a YouTuber, which is maybe the scariest thing about him.
Oh, that's funny.
Colin Farrell was great as a Penguin. Very funny.
Hey, no spoilers. You're spoiling stuff here.
That's not a spoiler. He's in the trailer. He's in the poster. Yeah, he's all over the place. Yeah.
I didn't see any of that shit.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
But still, yeah, it's just a great movie. It looks great. And the Batmobile is awesome. There's a little bit of it you see in the trailer, but that scene when it plays, see it in the theater. I'm usually one of those guys that's like, if you got a good setup at home, you're fine. I've got a great setup for watching movies in my house. But go see Batman if you see it in the theater, please. The Batman, sorry, yes. See it in the theater. It's crazy how good the sound mixing in that scene in particular with the Batmobile is, because that sequence is like edited so quickly and so sharply, and the sound mixing is so like perfect that it makes you just as tense as the character in that scene feels. It's just everything about it is killer. It's worth sitting through the 3 hours just for that one moment. That was a long movie.
Wait. It's 3 hours long.
Yes, it's either just about or a little over 3 hours long. It's a very long movie. It doesn't feel like it, to be fair. By the end, you're like, it feels like it ends 3 or 4 times actually, but it definitely earns those 3 hours. It does everything it can in that span of time. I really enjoyed watching it, man.
See, 3 hours is like, it used to be 3 hours was like, how long will I sit and watch a movie? Now it's like, how long do I think I can get away sitting in a fucking room with strangers?
Yeah.
And 3 hours is like right up on the upper limit of like, you know what? If one of those motherfuckers is coronavirus.
Yeah, packed theater too. Everyone was sitting next to each other like a pack of sardines in that theater, man. A couple coughs and I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I'll watch it on VHS in 2 years.
I'll watch it on Betamax.
There you go. Laserdisc, baby. Where's that copy?
Yeah, hell yeah.
The Batman. We watched The French Dispatch last night. The latest Wes Anderson. I feel like I enjoy. I don't think I've ever watched a Wes Anderson movie a second time, and I feel like they have a similar energy to my favorite YouTube channels, where it's like he's trying really hard to get you to not stop watching. Like, I really like those movies because, like, I don't think I like them holistically, like as movies, or I don't remember characters that I like, or it's more that like, it's just like such a feast for the eyes. And especially if you have like I have very little technical knowledge when it comes to like filmmaking, but like I like watching the scenes and being like, oh, how did they shoot? Like, that's an interesting camera, like interesting lens they're using. He's always messing with the aspect ratio. The set dressing and lighting is always all over the place. It's just like a fun kind of like novelty box or something of stuff that's going on. And this one, they break into 3 stories. It's kind of like vignettes almost. So that's kind of cool too, where they play, and they're in the row, not like Pulp Fiction style or something. It's like story 1, story 2, story 3 in a very Wes Anderson-y way. But yeah, I liked it. It's kind of up. It's in the better half of his movies. It's not like one of the best or whatever, but
right.
I kind of dug it. Anyone else seen it? Any other Wes Anderson fans?
I love Wes Anderson. I saw French Dispatch and really liked it. I feel the same way, kind of like there's no as you were describing, it was funny because when you said French Dispatch, I was like, French Connection? No, that's a different movie. And then I was like, what the hell is the French Dispatch? And then you described it. I was like, oh, I literally just watched this movie and forgot what it was called.
It's a bad name.
Yeah, it's
no the Batman.
Yeah,
Should have been called the French Dispatch. Was it the French?
It is the French Dispatch. Yeah.
Shit. Okay. Damn it.
I take it back. We're sorry, Wes.
Either way, it's like, yeah, it's not as, the characters are not as memorable, and I feel like that is kind of the weak point. Like even Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, I mean, despite the fact that his name is in the title, which helps, but he's like, that movie is way less polished, I guess, in its structure almost. Like that's kind of more of the like one of the more flawed Wes Anderson movies, but also one of my favorites. But the character driven stuff feels like it's such a emotional core to the movie that it makes it more memorable. This was kind of like honestly, like you said, it's maybe one of the most technically impressive Wes Anderson movies ever. And like the cinematography and some of the like bizarre, like mixed media stuff going on with like the car chase kind of things being like bizarre and surreal. And like, they're like semi-animated or something. I can't remember exactly what happens. I watched this right when it came out.
There's an animated bit in it as well. And then like, yeah, there was one shootout where like one side took a shot and you would have known, but I guess they composited in something that was stop motion. It was like
cool.
one of the barricades fell apart, but they did it in stop motion, which I guess makes sense because alternatively, I guess they would have had to have computer generated it, which would have looked weird in a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Even though they do like some CG compositing. But yeah, so like, which makes, he did Isle of Dogs as well, which is the stop motion animated dog movie that's set on in like Japan. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The feeling I get watching Wes Anderson movies is the feeling I got when I had a friend growing up who, like, my parents they're both teachers. They both come from like working class backgrounds, and we were like a lower middle class family. And I had a friend whose parents were like, had like a sailboat and had like Tintin comics and like all sorts of like weird art books and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would go over their house and he'd be like, oh, you guys are just like living a whole different life over here, and like
right.
there's like a French like cahiers de cinema like hanging open on the table, and I'm like, just like that's the feeling I get from Wes Anderson movies.
Sophistication.
Yeah, he's just exactly. He's just like a man who's like absorbing all of the most like the more sophisticated, finer things in life, and then synthesizing them into these movies. And like
he's the Gran Turismo 7 of directors.
Yes. Also, yeah. Also, this just to circle back to Gran Turismo 7. I was thinking when Frank was describing it that I can't wait until someone writes like a school paper and all of the footnotes and citations are just citing the Gran Turismo 7 museum.
God, what is it with these video game museums, Frank? You got the Black Mesa Museum. I saw all that extra footage you did for the doc.
I don't know. Maybe it's because museums that were shut down during the era of COVID and we miss going out to public spaces. So we're bringing them into the virtual world.
Yeah, I just hang out on Wikipedia.
Yeah, too much time doing that. Frank, any movies on your end? Any games? What you doing?
I guess like there's one thing I did want to say. But there's two books I really want to recommend. I think it was 2 weeks ago. There's this Japanese author named Sayaka Murata. She has two books that I read back to back that blew my mind, and I was even reflecting last night that like I'm hungry to get absorbed in something like this again. The two novels I read are Convenience Store Woman and Earthlings. The premise of Convenience Store Woman is it's about a 30-something-year-old woman who's a convenience store worker at a little tiny Japanese convenience store, and she is like hyper obsessed with her job, and her job gives her the rules and foundation for which she lives her life. Like if she's not at the store, she's exercising so she can do better at her job at the store. She's hyper attentive to like adjusting the sandwiches, like the idea of like the protagonist of both these like novels are written from the perspective of someone who feels too alien to be human, and they don't understand society. They don't understand how people operate, but she applies for this job, and all of a sudden it's, oh, you come into work dressed like this. You say hello when someone enters the door, and she lives her whole life with that. And if and if the convenience store is taken away, she doesn't know how to function. And that novel is only maybe 160 pages, so you can read it quickly. But it's written the perspective it's written in. It makes it feel like you're reading like a Yakuza side quest. Like every NPC you meet in the Yakuza games are all kind of written the same way. They're very like quirky and goofy. But it's so reading this book, you get this whole perspective, and the whole tone is written in this way, and it really blew me away. And then the second book she wrote, called Earthlings, kind of takes this idea of feeling alien to the extreme. The premise of Earthlings is about a little girl who believes she's an alien, and her goal in life is to leave planet Earth. And I have to like give it like trigger warnings. Like the first book, Convenience Store Woman, harmless. It's good. It's quirky. Earthlings, I think she even openly said she tried to break every taboo possible. It is one of,
oh boy,
it is on the scale of like American Psycho in terms of how obscene this book gets. And it like so I feel like I have to like mention it or talk about it. I don't know if anyone else has read this, or people, if you have a strong stomach, like it is, you can go into Convenience Store Woman, fine, but Earthlings is insane. But I am now forever hooked on this author. But yeah, I wanted to toss that out there. Sayaka Murata, Convenience Store Woman, everyone can enjoy it. That's a good book. Earthlings is vile, but it's amazing. But I just love this author's perspective of her characters feel too alien to exist in this world, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. And yeah, I've just never read anything like this, where it's so, all of her sentences, it almost feels like you're reading like a children's book, but in very, very adult situations.
Nice. Sayaka Murata. Thank
Yeah.
you. Look, literature. Look at us. We're all, you're the most sophisticated motherfucker
This
here
is
with
a
your Gran Turismo
sophisticated
7.
podcast.
Yeah, reading and all that sort of stuff. Unbelievable. Frank, while we're chatting to you there, wanted to mention that we did I did a tweet on the Noclip account. So I don't know, maybe it's 3 or 4 weeks ago at this stage, I can't remember, asking if we should do something with our gameplay. So we basically, like, you know, Frank has been recording gameplay for us in the past. Whenever we did a documentary, you know, usually the person editing would just, you know, write down the stuff that they needed that was going to be referenced in the doc for gameplay, and then spend a bunch of days or hours in between editing, essentially just filming that stuff and then inputting it. And it was a fairly laborious practice. It's kind of like the tapping your head and rubbing your stomach of editing, where it kind of constantly broke flow. Like it was hard to focus on one part of it on the edit, because you were constantly having to go and basically forage for more gameplay. When Frank came on, he basically took ownership of that whole thing. Since then, Dennis Walsh has also been helping us out back in Ireland, capturing a bunch of stuff like for the Among Us doc. But as a result of this, we have ended up with an abundance more gameplay on these projects since Frank joined up, like almost 3 years ago now, on that stuff. So we just have archives of like terabytes of gameplay, and some of it's all been in 4K since around this time last year. So we threw out the idea of like, look, if we made a channel and just threw this stuff up on YouTube, would people care? And we got a pretty like overwhelmingly positive response to it. Some people being like, oh yeah, for my own video essays it'd be super handy, because you can like use, you know, 4K video download or any of these third-party apps to download stuff off YouTube. And just as a general, it'd be great for archiving. So we are doing it. We already have a channel set up. Frank, do you want to give some info on this? I guess we're kind of, the channel exists. We're not linking it at the moment, but how are we breaking this stuff down?
Yeah, so I'm excited to take control of the Noclip gameplay channel. So yeah, as we have years of 4K gameplay of all these games, and we record in such a hyper obsessive way where we're really covering every corner of these games. And so now we're basically going to be sharing our vault for the internet to just use open source. Like if you want to make your own videos or do essays, you can grab our footage. So I think how we're going to break it down is just with each game is going to have a playlist of just all the raw footage. So we've been working through archiving our DMA design. So now we have playlists of Lemmings 2, Grand Theft Auto 1, Grand Theft Auto 2, and we're going to designate what platform it's on, if it's in 4K, since I think we've been doing 4K for like the last 2 years. So yeah, it's just going to be
one, I think. Yeah, it was only this time last year we started doing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, all the footage will be up there, and then we're gonna have our timestamps there. So whether it's a certain mission or if there's a good shot, and so, but I also like it because it's gonna be another window into our process, as you can see just the raw B-roll that we take, and so
YouTube can't even handle it.
Yeah.
It's too much to upload.
YouTube is only saying you're only allowed to have 15 active uploads at a time. So every like 2 hours, you'll have to go and just throw in a little bit more into the pipeline.
And there's a daily limit too on the amount of, I think it's length maybe. I think it might be cumulative length. Can't speak today. Something like that. So that's why we're kind of going to spend, I think once your channel's up a while, they take that down.
Yeah.
But because it's just like an empty channel with no subs. So we'll probably launch that channel in like 3 or 4 weeks with all that stuff. And then hopefully, you know, that'll unlock over time. But some of those projects like Black Mesa and Demon Souls, there's like terabytes of gameplay you've recorded.
I'm going to be very proud to have all of my boss fights on there, like, but also some of the failed attempts. You'll see me getting grabbed by a mind flayer 6,000 times. But yeah, to have the man-eater fight in just raw 4K will be a very proud moment. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be different than a lot of, I feel like, other gameplay channels, because a lot of channels will have like long plays or like ways to unlock trophies, but here's our raw B-roll selects, and so yeah, it's going to be like having a massive stock footage library of video games, which is again like Gran Turismo 7. Like I love it. Let's.
Oh my God, we're so sophisticated. It's our own museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is that we're not putting watermarks on anything. Obviously, we're putting up the like raw files as well. The reason is if we had to do any obviously the reason we're not putting watermarks on it because that sucks, and like we don't put watermarks on the docs either. Thankfully, YouTube now has a function where you can put like a little overlay watermark on stuff instead of having to embed it in the video. Because remember, Jeremy, we used to work at GameSpot. Remember, we used to have to put those like opaque GameSpot logos in the corner of every video.
Yeah, you have to brand it.
Yeah, it was like such a bummer because sometimes you're uploading like exclusive trailers and sticking the GameSpot thing on. You're like, fuck, man. Like, it just makes it worse. Like, I know people would rob it now, but like, you didn't make this.
Yeah,
I always found that weird.
It's the worst when you're trying to pull old trailers for like a game from 2001 for a doc we're working on, and
Fucking
every
IGN.
version is like, oh, this is the IGN version of this
Yeah.
trailer. Oh, this is the GameSpot version of this trailer.
Yeah, such a killer. And then like you lose the original ones because sometimes IGN was the only website or GameSpot that had like the means to put this stuff up in the early 2000s. You know, there wasn't YouTube. There was hardly anyone had video publishing, and all the Planet websites are down now, and some of them had clean copies. So now the only like, you know, Eco trailer has like a big IGN, and those IGN watermarks, and you blow them up to like 1080 now are massive because they're just like take up a quarter of the screen. So anyway, for you know, preservation purposes and just because it doesn't suck, we're not putting watermarks on them. But also we're not like editing them in any way. So there's no intros, there's no, you know, it's raw. Like sometimes Frank has to tab out to his desktop for a second. So that might be in there. But like for the most part, I know generally, Frank, you do a really good job of like sending only the sort of good stuff to us. So it tends to be like pretty good, all those bits. And yeah, the descriptions will have the timestamps and that's it. And yeah, it's kind of, you know, we don't have to pay for the video bandwidth. That's all Google. So might as well just stick them up there. Thankfully, none of us have, you don't have a data cap, do you, Frank?
No, we whatever our upgrade plan is, it's unlimited, but our ISP is very unreliable in having stable internet. But thankfully, we whenever it works, we're able to upload as much as we want.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, so we'll launch that in the next couple of weeks, and yeah, people are free to do whatever the fuck they want with it, basically. And we'll keep doing that. You know, we can't promise that like day and day of the docs that we'll have all the stuff up, but we will keep on that. It'll be another part of our preservation efforts here at Noclip. And yeah, shout out to Frank for doing all that work and helping with it, and for everyone for giving us the feedback. We hope people enjoy it. In terms of channels, there's actually a lot of stuff happening over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be putting up a teaser today. This is Tuesday when we're recording this of on the Noclip crew channel, because there's 3,500 subs over there. We never put anything on it. We're launching that channel on April 1st. We're all working on stuff. Jeremy's working on his game development series, Jane Dev. We have a behind the scenes video of us filming the Black Mesa stuff in Mojave Desert that Jesse's working on. That also has all the Elden Ring nonsense with the PlayStation 4 in the middle of the desert. The trailer is the teaser actually focuses on that, so that should be pretty fun to put up. Dan Silverstone's been working on some incredible graphics for us, not just the show. He also just like randomly made a stinger for us and sent it over, and I'm like, oh, we have to use this, so I'll share that with the rest of you guys soon. And yeah, I'm getting ready to get some Counterpoint put together as well. I'm writing a script and looking forward to getting that up. So yeah, aside from Black Mesa and Among Us, which are, I think, Jeremy, you're coming over today to pick up the camera, are you?
I am, right after this.
Damn, son. Yeah, more driving.
I love driving. What can I say?
Download some more Bostonian Twitch streamers, I guess.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah, so there's a lot going on, and we're also going to have our funding trailer dropping on Wednesday. So by the time you're listening to this, we'll have it out there, and my butt is as clenched as it ever is whenever we do this to see if people answer the call or not. But just a massive thanks to all of our patrons and everyone who supported us for the past couple of years, well, past 5.5 years, especially the past couple of years, which have been stressful for absolutely everyone, not just us, but obviously difficult times out there for a crew of people who are mostly freelancers. So it's been really appreciated. I think the idea with the new channel and the new idea for Noclip to get out on the road and do more of these road trips and visit studios that way is basically a way of us sort of squeezing more content out of all the sort of tools that we have now. We have so many people who are able to do cool stuff. We have Jesse editing stuff. We have Dennis now helping with gameplay. Frank working on a bunch of stuff. Jeremy's been basically editing like more than me at this stage, especially over the past couple of months. So we have a really strong team of people who are able to do this stuff, and we just kind of want to throw a bit more gas on the fire, as it were, so that we can use our skills to the best of our abilities and tell more stories than we've ever done before, and also make weirder videos and more different types of games coverage that people don't tend to do over on Noclip Crew. I think that's going to be like the sort of pitch now I have in my head for Noclip Crew is just imagine a video game like editorial style website, but like all of the videos on it are stuff that no video game website would ever bother doing. Like just weird, creative shit, like making their own games or traveling into the desert to play Elden Ring, whatever, stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm excited to get that up. It's going to be busy times. Jeremy, why do you have Heroes of Might and Magic 3 written down here? Are you going back to your childhood?
So I had a random desire to play Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which was probably my favorite game as a kid. Me and my brother played it for countless hours. There were brutal conflicts that would erupt between us over Heroes of Might and Magic 3. It was a subject of much drama and jubilation as kids. I went back and played it. I bought it on GOG for like $2.49, less than a cup of coffee, and I kind of bought it because I was like, yeah, maybe I'll play this at some point. Like maybe I'll have a friend over, like visiting at some point, and I'll be like, hey, it's like a board game kind of. Like you could be like, well, let's do some hot seat heroes and like just hang out. And then I turned it on just to like relive the nostalgia a little bit. And then I woke up and it was 8.5 hours later, and I completed an entire 8-person extra large map scenario. It is one of the greatest games of all time. It is just like, I don't have a ton to say about it because people should just go check it out. But for people who haven't played it, it's essentially like it's almost like a board game. You start out, you have like a kingdom. There's a bunch of different kingdoms. All of them produce different like types of units and different like resources and advantages and stuff. And they're all themed. There's one that's like a dungeon with like manticores and troglodytes and harpies. There's one that's like hell. There's
fucking love a troglodyte.
I love a troglodyte, dude. And they're little like frogmen too. They're so funny. It's the low level units are very funny because they kind of just suck. And so it's funny to just like watch them try their best against like and then get struck down by like a titan with a lightning bolt. But it's basically you have these little hero units, and you assign the units produced to them, and they like, so it's not like an RTS where there's units on the map. It's essentially you have a representational unit like a hero on a horseback, and they're going from your kingdom, which is a physical location on the map, and like walking around and getting resources and finding things that give you like stat boosts and stuff. And it's kind of just like, it's a turn-based, almost like a board game where you're trying to conquer other people's kingdoms, and the combat is it's like a hex based, almost like a Fallout style like tactics combat,
Right.
but you have units on the board, so it's your army is on the left side of the grid, theirs is on the right side of the grid, and it is very, very simple, but I was shocked how well it holds up.
Could you explain to me, maybe you know this, I don't know, I've always wanted to know the difference between Heroes of Might and Magic and King's Bounty. Have you played those games?
King's Bounty, so there are, I haven't, I'll Google it while I'm saying this, but there's a lot of old DOS games that are kind of similar to Heroes of Might and Magic, where the formula is you have a kingdom, you produce units, you put them on hero units, and then you move around the world. So I feel like I wasn't aware of that until recently, and I started looking into it. But I feel like this was sort of a like sub-genre in the DOS game era.
Yeah. Because it's one that that kind of falls through the cracks. Like I feel like a lot of these games like Warcraft and Starcraft and other, I don't know, like even like CRPG stuff is sort of like reappeared, but the Might and Magic stuff was always, or Heroes of Might and Magic specifically, was kind of its own little weird pocket that I never touched. And I know that there's like a thematic link between that and King's Bounty, because there was a King's Bounty game that came out last year that people were saying like, oh, it's the first Might and Magic game in forever. But I don't know if they're like the same game or if they're like sort of the StarCraft Warcraft thing where like they're different enough that, maybe not in terms of setting, but in terms of genre, maybe there's like something specific.
Yeah, it looks very similar. I'm looking at screenshots of King's Bounty, both the old and new, and it looks. I'll have to check this out. You may have just killed another eight and a half hours of my life.
Yeah, because they made one last year. Although checking the reviews here on Steam, it looks like it's pretty mixed. But yeah, maybe they patched some stuff. I don't know. I think it's the same dev. That's what it seems to all be on the same Wikipedia page as well. I've just found it here.
Interesting.
So
oh yeah,
I'm sure
King's Bounty is notably considered the forerunner of the Heroes of Might and Magic series of games. Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's New World Computing. Those are the people who made Heroes. Okay, cool.
New World Computing.
That is such a good name.
Hell. I just love like early like 90s, late 80s video game, like Microsoft even, you know what I mean? Like Micro Prose. There's something tremendous about the sort of literal affect of those names.
Yeah, they're all like intrepid man productions.
Exactly. The world of technology. If you're an expert on Heroes or on King's Bounty, podcast at noclip.video, let us know what the story is. That's cool. I'm glad you're exploring your the ancient video games of your youth. I was looking at, for some reason I got deep into Road Rash videos last night.
Oh yeah, that rules.
A bunch of Road Rash. Either any of you guys play Road Rash before?
I played the N64 version a ton, but that's it.
Did they do a remake recently? I feel like I played a little bit of that with my buddy.
Road
Redemption or something like that?
No, I don't think it's that one. Maybe?
No, yeah, I'm just looking it up now. Yeah, I think that's,
Oh, you're
same
right.
thing. It's just in
You're
3D.
right.
Yeah, Road Redemption.
There was a weird biker gang game that was really bad.
Road to Hell or Ride to Hell Retribution.
That's where I was thinking.
I played that too.
Okay.
That's a classic.
Yeah. Man, this Road Redemption came out in 2014. That must have been early access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the official launch was maybe 2-3 years ago or something like that.
God, I've not touched it. I should probably do that. It's weird how many of those games have like old racing games. A lot of them have like, they made a remake of Roll Cage, which is that's a deep cut.
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it's like, imagine a car, but if those RC cars you get and you flip them over and they keep going. That's it. That's Roll Cage. That's
I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah.
PS1.
So yeah, they made one. What was it called? I played a shit ton of it. There was a remake of Roll Cage. It's called like Grind something. Grip. Is it Grip? Grip?
Yeah, Grip, yeah.
Dude, if you type in Roll Cage remake, the first video that comes up on mine is a GameSpot video I did called Roll Cage is Back, and it's called Grip.
Yeah, there it is.
That's
right
amazing.
There. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So clearly it's a 4-minute video. Holy
That's
shit.
like when I played Dark Souls 2 way after it came out, but I was working at GameSpot when it came out, and I started Dark Souls 2 years and years later just for fun, and I was like, oh, the starting gifts, and I was like, oh, this is always so stressful. Like, I don't know what any of these things do, and all the item descriptions are like, this finger is mummified in the ashes of Gondolor, and I'm like,
Sorry, what are we talking about? Dark
if
Souls? What's going on?
Yeah, Dark Souls 2.
Right. Sorry.
And so I looked up a video for all the starting gifts, and I started watching it, and it was my voice, and I had forgotten when I worked at GameSpot, I did a which Dark Souls 2 starter gift video to choose, and it was like this weird memory hole where I just, you produce so many videos that are like little guide videos like that I had forgotten, and it was probably the closest to schizophrenia I've ever got. Like,
that is wild.
It was so disturbing to I was like, tell me, younger Jeremy, it was bizarre, dude.
I've had that happen with Noclip docs where I've thought like for a minute, oh, we should do something on that. And then I go, oh, we did. Or like, oh, we did that studio. We actually talked to them already. We did that. Damn. Fuck. I can't remember any of those things.
Yeah,
Gosh,
you and I were
wild.
talking about like old games or something, and then we were both like, oh yeah, we talked to Tim Kaine. Like,
yeah, I totally forgot that we did like a whole thing with the folks down at Obsidian. Man. Yeah, that was wild. There's like so many good games that so many studios. I did a lot of emailing this week, actually, a lot of the sort of bigger publishers we've covered over the years to see like, hey guys, you probably want to swing back around, do something on some of these games again, or new games or whatever. Playing Ghostwire at the moment, and all I want to play is Yakuza 7 more because I never completed Like a Dragon. I think I might start streaming that or something. I set up the streaming room, recording in this new streaming room with like sound baffling and everything. So hopefully the echo's not as bad, Jesse.
We'll see.
We'll wait and see. One of the things, speaking of Frank Howley here, Irish surname. I remember the all of the cops in Road Rash had Irish surnames, and it was really confusing to me and my brother. We're like, is this a thing in America? Do all motorcycle cops have Irish surnames? I don't like, is it racism or is it cool? I don't know. It was really like confusing. Did you ever play Road Rash, Frank? It seems like a game that's kind of down your alley.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't. I checked out Road Redemption. I remember at a friend's house in like elementary school, I played Road Rash, and my one memory is that he played on PC with a left-handed mouse. Like, he was left-handed on the mouse, and I'd never seen that, and it was like, whoa. And I remember that more than Road Rash itself. But yeah, I feel like the Road Rash vibe should definitely be up my alley. I just need to get back into it. But
has a new WWE come out?
So there is WWE, man, I feel like they always name it 1 year ahead, 23, but I think it is WWE 22.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I've spent like 3 years modding and making custom characters in WWE 2019 that I don't want to like redo all the work. But maybe I'll keep an eye out on it. I think I could be wrong.
Cost.
Yeah, I think the one neat thing with WWE 22 is the creative wrestler is cross play share. So if you make a character on PC, you can share it with PlayStation users or Xbox users. So if that's the case, I might wait a little bit. I think that's what it is. I'm going to wait for everyone to do all the hard work for me. That way, when I get the game, I can just download my favorite characters. Because my roster in 2019 is amazing. But yeah, I'm curious to see if this game is better, if they've changed the wrestling. Because they had to put the WWE games on hold because I think it was WWE 20 came out and was so full of bugs that they were like, okay, we need to take a year off from this.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Did you ever play into Fire Pro, any of those ones?
No, that one's like isometric. Those ones have people love those games. I think I got whatever the latest one is on Steam, and apparently that has really great customization, but I never checked it out.
Big time.
But I am really eager for AEW is currently developing its own wrestling game, and they got the director of WWF No Mercy to be involved. So like the original N64.
Yeah,
like
are Duke's making it? I think, is it? I feel like I could be wrong, but is it not the? No. Who is it?
Yeah,
somebody's making it. Is it Jukes?
It's whatever that original like old school Japanese wrestling developing team. Like they're involved in it. I forget that. So AEW, they made their own studio now, it's called AEW Games, but they got that director involved.
Okay,
so they want it to feel like those N64 games. So that's gonna. I hope that works out.
In your house and that type of stuff.
Oh no! So the In Your House and the WrestleMania, that stuff was by Midway. I mean, that would be a great.
I like the Midway ones.
That'd be its own like amazing documentary or series. It's just all the wrestling.
Bam Bam
games.
Bigelow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Doink the Clown.
Yeah.
The big hammer that comes out.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, we should. Josh Sway should be doing some of this. I'm sure he's already done a lot of Midway stuff, documentaries. He's like the Midway documentary guy. I don't want to step on his toes. Man, Heroes of Might and Magic was made in SoCal as well, Jeremy. Just so you know. So
excellent. I also wanted to say that as I was checking out the Road Rash wiki, it's the first one's description on Wikipedia said is a game that takes place in California on progressively longer highways, and I thought that was a very cryptic sentence.
Progressively long. Wink, wink. So I mean, there's no Central Valley. It's all on the coast.
Well, one of them has a Napa
coastal
Valley
elites.
level, and I'm eager to do motorcycle combat in wine country.
Yeah, for sure. The fucking traffic must be terrible in that level. That's
Yeah.
you hit American Canyon and it's just like wall to wall cars.
You're not even going fast. You're just stuck in traffic doing like crowbar combat with other motorcycles.
Wild. Well, Crowbar Combat, Crowbar Collective, our Black Mesa documentary will be out post haste, hopefully in the next, definitely next 2 weeks, maybe the next 10 days. Actually, from the time you're listening to this, yeah, we'll probably have early access up as well for our patrons over patreon.com/noclip. Among Us getting worked on, Legacy of Kain still getting worked on, a bunch of stuff in the background getting worked on. And of course, we're doing our big promotional funding push. So if you can at all support our work, be it at $5 or $1 or $30 or whatever it is, or Venmo or PayPal, we have loads of ways of helping out our effort and our work to preserve stuff and tell video game documentary stories. Head over to patreon.com/noclip and we'd really appreciate it. We're at Noclip Video on Twitter, at Danny O'Dwyer, at Garasha, at Frank Howley, at Jeremy B. Jane. Watch all our docs for free with no ads on youtube.com/noclipvideo. Check out our new channel on youtube.com/noclipcrewvideo. I talked to YouTube about getting Noclip Crew. They tried to set it up for us, but then something broke on their back end. So for now it's /noclipcrewvideo.
Boo.
They better give it to us or I'm going to break something on their back end.
Oh my God.
If you know what I mean.
Woo.
Holy shit. He didn't mean it, YouTube. We're just uploading terabytes of gameplay.
I'm just blowing off Steve, guys. I'm sorry.
Listen to the podcast at youtube.com/noclippodcast or wherever podcasts are sold. Also wanted to do a little quick shout out to Brennan Sheffield managed to get a bunch of the devs over at itch.io to put together a bundle for Ukraine. So if you want to, you can check that out. Just type in itch.io Ukraine. It'll pop right up. You can buy 991 games for $10, which saves 99.99999%. There's some great games on there. Skatebird,
Celeste,
Wander Song, Celeste in there. Wow.
Super Hot.
Super Hot. Wow. Yeah, I'm just scanning through here. A bunch of games that probably already own on Steam, but I've done it out. 2064 Read Only Memories is in there. A Short Hike, Baba Is You.
Crosscode.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, just bunches of great games and probably a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't have played maybe before, but now you'll have access to. You can add it to your itch account. Necrosoft Games, like I said, Brandon Sheffield put that together. Shout out to him, one of Oakland's best. And yeah, they've already raised 1.3 million in the course of, I think, 24 hours for their $2 million goal, which will go to sending support to, I think it is the civilian victims. It is International Medical Corps and Voices of Children are the two charities that will be getting this money to obviously help with the humanitarian relief effort occurring in the recently illegally invaded country of Ukraine. Our thoughts as well, of course, with everyone in Ukraine and the surrounding countries as well for the awful fucking shit that's happening over there. Yeah. You know, none of us are experts on military or politics, but obviously we hope that shit comes to a stop as soon as possible. I'll take all the gas price hikes in the world. I don't give a fuck. And we just drove 18 hours. Jeremy, by the way, don't forget to put your gas invoice on the next invoice. That was quite a lot.
Oh, I will.
Kept filling up. It was crazy. I bought $100 worth of gas in my car yesterday. Like got to 100 and the pump stopped pumping. I thought it landed on 100. I was like, wow, that's amazing. It filled it up and landed on 100. I was like, oh no, they obviously have like top limits on these things. You can't just
rolls over to 0 and you just get it for free.
Oh my God, could you imagine? Yes. Kill screen. I kill screened this this gas pump. Unbelievable.
One weird tip to get free gas.
Yeah, exactly. They won't tell you that. I should make a YouTube video. Just use that as the thumbnail. Put question marks and arrows pointing everywhere.
Yeah,
that should be
yeah.
the Noclip Crew way. We should just make the most shameless clickbait ever because we don't do any on the main channel. Gents, thank you so much for your time. What's everyone going to play for the rest of the week? What are you going to play, Jeremy?
I am about 30 to 35 hours into Elden Ring, and I am absolutely loving it. It is such a good game, and I am just losing myself in that world. So I have there's a lot of, I'm working on about 3 different Noclip projects at the moment, and it's kind of just chipping away at the last 10 to 5% of a bunch of different things.
Hardest part.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and I am very close on the Among Us doc. I'm just getting some props from you today, and gonna do that. Do a last little polish on some Black Mesa kind of stuff, and then Jane Dev is almost done. In fact, the patron show has a little preview. If anyone is a patron here and hasn't seen that yet, there's like a little 3-minute clip. It's as I mentioned in the last podcast, it's a series in which I learn game dev, and it gets into like a little bit of kind of like almost like video essay stuff. Like as I work on game dev, I've thought a lot about game design itself, and so it's kind of got me thinking more about game design in more of a abstract kind of way. So I think it'll be an interesting hybrid of like procedural creative doc and also just a place to think about larger ideas around game design. It's got my gears turning.
Yeah, I like it. It's charmingly stumbling into a world, and like the sort of creative. To me, it's like it feels, well, I've not seen all of it yet or anything, but it feels a lot about just creating stuff and like starting a new hobby and like what that's like, and the concerns and create. It's less like this is how you make a cube in Unity and more, why would I make a cube in Unity? My cube is bad. I need to make a better cube. This cube doesn't got to change the world. That type of thing. I don't know. Kind of feels.
Yeah, it's fun to learn a totally new creative outlet, because I've been doing filmmaking for so long that there are a lot of things that feel so automatic to me about it. So to learn a totally new creative process has actually made me reflect upon the way that I learned about filmmaking. And so it's been an interesting kind of like meta investigation into creativity itself and how we are creative. And also I'm having to be creative about how I'm documenting it. So it's kind of these two parallel processes of like learning a new creative thing while making a new way to be creative about documenting it. So it's as much about creativity as it is about game dev. So I think it'll be kind of unique and interesting.
Frank, how's you going back into the Titanic Museum or what?
Yeah, I am chipping at Gran Turismo every day, but the other game I've been getting back into is Lost Judgment, which is the latest Yakuza game. It feels like every 6 months I'll just get lost in a Yakuza game, because they're so great, but if you play them back to back, you do get burnt out. The cool thing about Lost Judgment, there's two cool things. One, you have a skateboard in which you can ride around in, and there's little collectible tokens all across the city, and you can grind on rails. It's such a like goofy little mini game as you're going from objective to objectives. And it takes place in the same city as Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. So as I'm playing Lost Judgment, it's just filling me with euphoria that it's like, oh, I'm back in my favorite game. Oh my gosh. Everything in those Yakuza games are so satisfying to play. So that's been a nice little oasis.
Dude, should that be the next one we've got? Who's it? It's the Ryu Gotoku Sat. I can't even say it.
Yeah, I always just say Studio RGG.
Studio RGG, yeah, the Yakuza people. They're based in Tokyo, unsurprisingly. Yeah, maybe that's what we should. Maybe we should all get really into Yakuza games, and then when COVID chills out over there as well, we can go hang out with Toshiro Nagashi. That'd be neat. Jesse, what are you playing?
Oh, Super Auto Pets. I can't stop. I've been playing it this whole time that we've been recording this. I'm addicted to... I'm kidding. I haven't been. I wish. Man, all I can think about is ramming horses into pufferfish that ate garlic.
Right.
Whoa, ramming horses. Wait, hold on.
That shit. Yeah,
don't take that out of context. No. Yeah. Sorry.
Out of context, sure. I'm going to go play some Elden Ring. I'm going to get some videos up. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Thanks for supporting our work. Check out all the trailers in the new channel. Doc's coming soon, and we'll see you next week. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Frank didn't say bye. He doesn't care.